Hello, my name is Michele, and you're listening to Profit is a Choice. Hello, today on the podcast is me. This is going to be a solo podcast, and we're going to be talking about a topic that I keep seeing online and discussing with my one-to-one clients in private, and it's this, the summer slowdown. So we're going to dig into some options for how to handle the summer chaos with maybe kids at home and how not to give up on your business during that time, as well as not missing out on an entire summer of fun with the kiddos. It doesn't really have to be an either or if we can get creative. Every day, empowered entrepreneurs are taking ownership of their company financial health and enjoying the rewards of reduced stress and more creativity. With my background as a financial software developer, owner of multiple businesses in the interior design industry, educator, and speaker, I coach women in the interior design industry to increase their profits, regain ownership of their bottom line, and to have fun again in their business. Welcome to Profit is a Choice. Okay, so today let's hit on this topic that we're right in the middle of, summer. These 12 weeks seem to be the most challenging when we have kids at home, no matter their ages, whether they're really small, all the way up to maybe high school age, because we're also trying to work a business that needs constant care and attention, while home might need that care and attention. So before we jump into summer options, I'm just going to throw this out there, right? I know that this is not a podcast that only women listen to, but I do know that our industry is heavily saturated with women. And so because of that, here's an interesting conversation. You've probably heard it. You've seen it all over the place, but it is this. My sweet husband never has to think twice about getting up and going to work and wondering if he should feel guilty while he's at work because the kids are doing something or they're playing or whatever. But as the mom, I tend to take that guilt on myself. He doesn't put it on me. I take it on myself. And so, I've got this business. You have this business, whether it's part-time, 3/4 time, full-time, 2/3 time, whatever time. Why do we feel like we've got all this guilt and this weight? I don't know why. I think it's because we've been told that we can do it all. You all know my thought on that if you've listened to the podcast for any time. I don't think we can do it all at the same time. So I do think that we have to be careful with what we do and how we do it. Like it has to be intentional. It has to be a choice. Some things have to give. We always have to make a decision. And so I'm going to throw that out that says you have the right to make the decision for your family, with your spouse, your partner, your husband. You guys get to talk about this. Make a decision on what this all looks like. Okay, so I just want to say that we don't have to feel all that guilt. We'll talk about that a little bit more as we go through the podcast, but we're trying to make some decisions here so that you can work with intentionality without the guilt, because that guilt is horrible and it weighs you down. If for any reason you're feeling all of that, go back and listen to the solo podcast I did last fall on shame. I'll make sure that I connect that in the show notes for you. All right, so summer is upon us and we have a couple of options. I'm going to throw those options out there. We're going to talk about them, and then we're going to move in and talk about kind of the mindset that we need to have during the summer, and even moving into the summer, some things that we can do to prepare so that maybe next summer we can handle it in advance. All right, so here are our options, and there may be more. This is not meant to be a completely exhaustive list, but it is meant to get us started. Option number one, that is you're going to maybe try to keep the exact same schedule that you have during the school year or during the regular part of the year throughout the summer. So some of you may find that that's what you need, that this is an absolute full-time job, that the family is, in need of all the income that you bring in. You don't really have the option of slowing or stopping or quitting or whatever else. So you're going to continue on just like anybody else would and working full-time over the summer. So if that is where you are and that is the choice that you've made, this may mean things like finding summer camps for your kids. It may mean bringing in a nanny or a summer babysitter, an au pair, somebody to come in and fill up those school hours that would have normally been filled up with your kid in either preschool or daycare or school, right? Some people find that working that way is the best for them, not only for the income, but just with consistency, continuity. Maybe they've got a storefront, maybe their client load is so heavy that there's just no way around that. And maybe it's just what they want to do. It's just the life they've chosen and what they've done it. Again, I'm not saying any of this with judgment. So everybody has to kind of choose the path that works for them and their family. And there are a lot of things and factors that need to be considered. I remember being a full-time working mom and having kind of this thing with the stay-at-home moms. And then I came home and was a stay-at-home mom for a couple of months. And then I was a part-time working mom. And, we've just got to support each other. And everybody's got to choose their path, right? So it's going to let all that go. The second option is to reduce your workload during the summer so that you have more time with your family while the kids are at home. Many of the designers in the workrooms that I work with have chosen this. They have chosen to not stop the business and not keep it at the same high level, but to maybe back off a little bit to be able to allow for a little more relaxed schedule during the summer. This option could allow you to be more mom or dad during the summer. And, other people are doing the same thing. Everybody's taking their vacations during the summer by and large in the States. And so everybody has a little bit more of a relaxed attitude during that time. So if there's ever a time to do it, I would say this summer break is a time to do it, as well as maybe that week between Christmas and New Year's. We see a lot of companies and a lot of people choosing to take a little more of a relaxed approach. And so maybe that's what you want to do. The third option is to maybe work flex time. And that could be that you keep the same high load. It may be that you have a relaxed workload, but that your time that you're spending in the company is flexible. I did this a lot when my kids were younger. I've started my business when they were, I think, 2.5 and 5, something like that. And I would get up, even when I first started, I worked really early in the morning before they got up. I would work maybe while they were taking a nap. I worked all around them as much as I could. And then even during the summers, what I would do is it may mean that I got up and worked early mornings, let them sleep in, or some mornings of the week I would work mornings so that we'd play in the afternoon. And sometimes I would work in the afternoon and we would go to the zoo or something in the morning if it was going to be hot. So I would just work my days. I still got the same amount of work in, or maybe even with a little bit of a relaxed schedule, but I scheduled it differently on my calendar. Another option is to work 2 days or 3 days and take the other 2 days off. So instead of spreading it out, combining it into 2 maybe long days and having the rest of the time off. So creating a flexible schedule allows you to still have fun with the family, still get things done. And a lot of this really is dependent too on how you interact with your clients. But that is an option. And then another option that I have even seen some do is they just take the entire 3 months off. They take the time off from the time their kids get out of school until they go back. So this one, I do want to put some cautionary kind of parentheses around. It really sounds wonderful. I mean, who wouldn't want a 3-month vacation, right? But if it is not done with the utmost care, it can really cripple your business. In this option, your clients really need to be fully aware before signing on with you that you're going to stop work when the kids get out of school and that you're taking a 3-month hiatus and then starting back. And some are not going to be okay with that. What it also forces you to do is potentially get all of your work done, let's say between January and May, if you're going to take June, July, and August off, so that you can start back. So it may actually limit the type of work and the projects that you do for the entire year because of how you're going to have to work around that. Another part of that option is maybe you take the time off, but you have staff that continues to work full-time or part-time. I've seen that as well, and it can work. So that's not necessarily a problem. It just has to be planned for. Okay, so we've looked at your options. We've talked about keeping the same schedule, reducing your workload, working with flex time, or opting to truly take the time off. Let's move into mindset, okay? Because for each of these options, we have to have some realistic expectations. And so mindset can really be a biggie during the summer. If you have not considered what's going to keep your family and your business both feeling healthy and whole, then we need to do that first before we choose one of these options. Meaning, we don't want to make a decision in a vacuum. So if you are a parent or you have children or just different family or life obligations in the summer and you have to shift your schedule, we need to do that with intentionality. If you know anything about me and the way that I coach and advise and work in my business, it's that we are to own our actions, own our choices, and everything we do is with intentionality. Hence, profit is a choice. Okay, so with that, what I want you to do is really sit down and think about what is it you want your summer to look like? How do you want it to feel? How much money do you need to make? How many hours do you need to work or want to work? What does it look like? If it were to work out the way you wanted, what would that be? Because there are always trade-offs. If we choose to reduce our workload or if we choose to take time off, both of those could significantly impact the income that we make. Even working flex time, I mean, it may mean that we don't get as much done or that we're not able to meet certain deadlines. So we need to know that if we make the decision to keep the same schedule, then we're choosing to give up time with family or time with kids or whatever. So everything's trading off, right? Okay. So think about what is it that is needed from you in the summer? Is it your time? Where do you need to place your energy? What kind of money do you need to make and bring in? And that is going to help lead you to make a choice for you and for your family. You know, if income is not as necessary for you in the summer, then maybe that's what you plan, is to make less in the summer. Maybe you make it up during the more busy months, or maybe you don't even need to. That's really a conversation that you need to have. That's why understanding your financials is so important. And again, the Profit First methodology, my course, Master Your Profit, teaches you how to save and make money so that you can take time off and then have the money later. So everything that I teach you with the financial basis is so that you are free to make the choices you need to make for your life and for your business. Speak with your spouse or your partner. Talk about how you want your family to function. You know, is it important that you have meals? Is it important that somebody gets to swim team practice or ball practice or whatever it is? And who's going to do it? It may even mean that you can have a split schedule. And so it's not one person working full-time and one person working part-time. Maybe you're both working full-time, but you're being very creative in the way that you schedule your time. Try to be as creative as you can. Think about it almost as a puzzle that you're going to put together, and look at it as something that you're doing together, not like something that's done to you. That means if you feel like it's done to you, you very much can come into the summer with a victim mentality, and that makes it not enjoyable for anybody. Also, having a detailed business plan and financial plan, like I mentioned earlier, is crucial to making this work. Listen, we all have a season of life. We're all either coming into or out of some type of season. And you've heard me mention that and talk about it on the podcast before. I remember starting my business working with interiors and custom window treatments and fabrics and going into people's homes when my kids were really little. And I'm telling you, I did a lot of my work while they were at Mother's Morning Out. I mean, this was even before they were in preschool, because they were like, 2 and 5 or something like that. And when they napped or they slept, I work. So I have grown my business and worked it around my children. And not to say that's the only way. It's not. It is one way. But it is the decision that my husband and I made when I came out of corporate, is that I wanted to be mom and I wanted to be wife, and then I wanted to be business owner. So it wasn't that I didn't think the business owner part was important. I just knew for me, I had a one-shot deal to be mom and wife, and I wanted to do that. And so we planned my business to grow as the children grew. And so summers were the same way. When they were tiny, summers were the hardest. As they grew, summers became much easier. And one of the things, or a couple of things that my husband and I talked about, was how much do we involve the kids in my work? How much do we shield them from my work? Because they're home and I'm working out of the home, right? And so what we chose to do was to invite them in and to make this be, yes, it's mom's business, but to make it a full family affair. So my kids have grown up, and every night at dinner, My husband asked me how my day was. I asked him how his was. Now that the boys work full-time jobs, we're asking them how their day is. We're having these conversations, but they started when they were really little, and they started during summer breaks. So some of the things that I did was I wanted them to see me work. I wanted them to understand that my husband and I both put forth an effort to keep our home together, to pay the bills, and that it took work. And work, in most cases, came before play. And that if we played first, we still had to do the work. It wasn't that the work got done. No magic fairies came in and did the work for us. It had to be done. So yes, we had flexibility, but work had to be done. We also wanted to teach them that life isn't free and that hard work pays off, and that they weren't entitled, because my kids, just like any other kids, including me as a little girl, I would have been more than happy to sit down, play games, do nothing, and let mom and dad scurry around and do all the work. But that wasn't really building the character in our kids that we chose as a family to build. And so we wanted them to see that everything I did and their dad did was for a benefit of the family. And then we wanted them to take part in providing a benefit for the family. So during those summer work hours, I gave the boys age-appropriate tasks to do. Sometimes it might be they would, if I was working for the morning so we could go to the pool in the afternoon, when they woke up, they knew how to get their breakfast, of course, when they could. If not, I certainly would do that for them. I would put them to work. They had workbook things that we would have them do to keep up with their math and their reading skills in particular. They would have time to read. We would give them small chores around the house, or they would come in and help me in my workroom. They knew if they got their work done and left me alone, it allowed me to get my work done, and then we got to go play. So we got to go to the pool, the park, hang out with friends, have people over, go over to a play date, whatever it was. But they also learned, and I held to it, if they horsed around and they didn't complete their task, we didn't go. Because just like in real life, if I don't get my work done, I don't get to go play. And neither did they. And so they really very much learned cause and effect. They also learned that by helping out the family, that everybody benefited, which was what I wanted them to learn. Just like they benefited from the income that my husband and I brought into the house. Right? So if they would whine and complain and, oh, I don't get to go to the pool at 11, I have to wait till 12, or whatever it is they were doing, we would stop and remind them that this is why we work and this is what it provides. And if you don't want those things, we can stop. And they would go, no, 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 please stay working, stay working. And they understood. Soon the whining stopped and they offered to do more, which cleared up the schedule so we could all go play more again. And so I never felt like I was sacrificing my kids while working if we planned for it to be a teaching lesson. If I didn't go into it with a mindset of this is what I'm doing, this is why I'm doing it, this is what they're going to get out of it, then guilt did creep in. And it started to become a part of, oh my gosh, I'm a terrible mom, I'm not spending all my time with my kids. And I'm just going to be honest, nobody needs to feel like the world revolves around them 24/7. I don't need to think that way. My kids don't need to think that way. And I don't think anybody really does, right? It's not healthy. And so realizing that there's an appropriate time and place, that there's this balance of work and play, we get to do both. And if we all work together as a family unit, we get to do it faster. As my kids continue to age and they were able to do more, I actually brought them into the workroom. They helped me in my business and I paid them for it. And so sometimes they might be helping me with the drapery panel. Sometimes they were picking up pens. Sometimes they were creating spreadsheets because goodness, they teach them computer skills at a young age. And so whatever it was, now I even have my kids review my P&L and talk to them about it and explain what entrepreneurship looks like. And so at 21 and 24, they're much older and much wiser than when we started, but they have always seen me work. And for me, I'm going to tell you a couple of reasons that was important. Number one, as a woman in our home, I wanted the boys to see that if I chose to have a job, if I chose to own my own company, that it was possible, whether I was male or female. But, certainly because I'm female, I wanted them to see that aspect of it. I wanted them to understand that it was possible for me to be a business owner and a wife and a mom, but that there were also trade-offs. Because one day, if they potentially had a family and, let's say they have a wife, she may need to work just to keep the family going. I just wanted them to see it, and the good, the bad, the ugly, the pretty, all of it. I just wanted them to see the dynamic of my husband and I talking through the hardships of the business. And so I wanted them to learn all of that and see it, so that that was something they wanted. They would know what they were getting into. And so we just chose not to shelter them. Again, we did all of this as much as we possibly could at age-appropriate levels. So I certainly didn't go up to my 6-year-old and say, let me talk about a P&L with you. But when my son is a finance major and he's 23 years old in college, it's absolutely appropriate for me to have that conversation and to explain it. Last summer, my 21-year-old was taking accounting. Made perfect sense for me to make it real by pulling up QuickBooks and showing him how that worked. And so for me, my business has been more than something that brought in money. It has been something that gave me an identity separate from mom and wife. And for me, that was very important. It's been a way for me to express myself creatively. It's been a way for my children to learn different things about me, for us to train them and to show them hard work and to show them how families work. And so I want you to not shy away from that. Again, you don't have to do it the way I did it. I'm just offering up, here's what we did. Here's the way we made it work. As a family and for me as a business. And honestly, sometimes my husband jumped in and he works a long day. He's gone from 7 to 7. And he would, even in the summer, sometimes jump in and say, I'll take the boys to the pool after dinner for a night swim if you want to go ahead and do some more work. And so we just learned to balance it. You can do that, but it comes by making a choice and looking at it. What I want to do now is turn just a little bit, and I want to give you some suggestions on what I don't want you to stop during the summer. So don't stop doing this during the summer. The first thing is, don't stop your marketing. Anytime we stop marketing and promoting, it can take 3 to 6 months to regain the footing that you had before. So it doesn't matter if you're taking on a new client at this point or not. I want you marketing. Market, market, market. Don't lose sight of the fact that you've got to keep your name out there. Remember, out of sight, out of mind. So we want you to be visible and not be out of sight. So keep your marketing going. The other thing that I'd really like for you to do is don't stop taking new calls and consults if you can help it. There's nothing that says you've got to start the full project right now, but reaching out if somebody emails you or calls you or contacts you, responding keeps those ideal clients willing to wait for you. All you have to say to them, and you don't have to say, hey, I'm taking the summer off, or hey, I'm cutting back the load. You can just say, very matter-of-factly, my next appointment will be, I'm picking up new projects to start in the fall. And then you give the date and time. Don't be apologetic and don't tell more than you need to tell. But by responding, it keeps them on the hook and it keeps you moving, and it fills your pipeline for the fall. The third is be realistic about your schedule. So what I don't want you to do is just keep adding in work or doing things out of guilt because you're frustrated. Really try to plan out what you can do and what you're willing to do in this summer season. Don't stop learning and gaining inspiration. If you do choose to slow the business down a little bit or stop it or create some space and time, what I want you to do is, instead of stop learning and turning all your business mind off, I want you to turn it on. This is a great time to learn and to gain inspiration. It can be from rest. You can get it from travels, reading books, coaching and mentoring. It's a good time to focus on you, your craft, and what inspires you. Also, don't forget to focus on your health. During the summer, I want you to work out, rejuvenate. It's a time that we're usually more active. And all of that plays into you being your best when you return to work at full capacity. So don't come back into the fall so exhausted that you come back with an empty tank. Okay, try to fill your health tank as much as you can. Let's talk for a second about as you prepare for summer next year. So you may already be through this summer, or we might be a couple of months into it for some of you and a couple of weeks for others. That's okay. I want to give you some tools to prepare for next summer. So next year, taking all this information that we talked about, the different options, considering your mindset, what's important, what's not, how you want your family to function, how you can maybe involve the kids or share with the kids or work your schedule around all of that. Really think about, can it go on hold? Could it go slower? Ask yourself, at this stage of life and business, what's best for myself, my family, and my business in this season? How can you set expectations beforehand? So what that means is you could start working up towards what your availability could be, what your work days are, what hours you're willing to work, what are those income goals? Again, how can you plan to include your kids? And think about this in the months that are preceding summer. It's always difficult to make a plan when you're in the middle of it. It is easier if you can make the plan in advance. And then that allows you to enjoy the relaxed schedule or even the normal schedule. But it allows you to plan. Just like you can't go out and sign your kid up for a summer camp at the last moment. In a lot of cases, you had to do that months before. I want you thinking about your summer, making the plan, because what that does is it allows your mind to get in the right mindset for you to then execute it. The last thing I want you to do is to have guilt. So how can we remove guilt that could rear its ugly head during these months? Guilt that you're not building your business when you should, guilt that you aren't with your kids, guilt that you aren't getting the work done faster, whatever it is. Again, we're going to make a plan, and we're going to make that plan based on choices and decisions, what is acceptable and what is desired by you and your family. Then I want you to take a really deep breath, just breathe in and out and let the rest of it go. It does not matter if your designer friend has chosen a different path. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're looking out on Instagram. I'll tell you, some of the people during the summer, they're still posting the same pictures they posted 2 years ago of their own house or some project that they loved. Not every single one of these, just because they're posting pictures, is out doing new work all day, every day. Let it go. Choose your path. And then that's what you do. Once you've chosen your path, make peace with it. Make peace with how you want your business to grow, how you want it to scale, what you want it to look like in summer, how you want it to fit into your family, whether you're in a season of growth or a season of rest. Commit to that plan, work the plan. And if you have given it thought and you know the outcome you desire, it is so much easier to lean into it and then to truly enjoy it. Listen, we were never all meant to be on the same path, to have the same experiences, to have the same business model or the same business outcome or life. That's just not the way it works. So please don't be afraid to blaze a trail that works for you and your family and then ultimately for your business. Do what's right for you. You might not be balanced, but you will be whole and healthy, and your family will be in harmony, and they'll thank you for it. Listen, business ownership isn't easy. It really isn't. And so I want you to be intentional about your business. Own it, and then change what isn't working for you. Please don't feel the need to apologize for making money. If you were at Luann Live, you heard me say that. Don't be apologetic for earning what you're worth, charging what you're worth, and making an income. And you don't need to apologize for taking a break. We all need a break. Both are very important. So as my kids would say, you do you. Don't try to keep up with somebody who has a different goal. If you need help or you want a trusted community to grow with, I'd love to invite you to join the Designer's Inner Circle. These topics are discussed, and help is available for you to create a plan that works for you. Details are at scarletthreadconsulting.com. Look for the Designer's Inner Circle. Choose to be profitable in your summer, because it doesn't happen by accident.